Live from Nigeria, this is True Vision. The headlines. Nigerian government allocates 112 billion to safeguard schools in 3 years. Court reserves judgment on eligibility of Ondo State Deputy Governor-elect Adelami. US closes East Kiev embassy, warning of significant air attack. Hello, I am Marvelous Oboman. Welcome to News Roundup. Now let's begin the news from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where the Minister of Women Affairs has said that the federal government is committed to creating an environment where every child will have access to education. The federal government has allocated more than 112 billion naira to ensure safety and inclusive spaces for children in the next 3 years. The Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, made this known in a statement issued in Abuja on Wednesday to commemorate the 2024 World Children's Day with the theme Advancing Children's Rights for a Sustainable Future. The issues of ill parenting have become prevalent in society as children, especially in West Africa, are retiring from the norm. In commemoration of World Children's Day, parents, guardians, and experts shed light on the threats that 21st century parenting poses to the children's future. Our correspondent, Stella Kahlo, has more on this report.
According to United Nations statistics, 18.3 million children are out of school and 11 million children face hunger, especially in Africa. As the world marks Children's Day, it presents an opportunity for parents, guardians, and the government to look at issues affecting children. This year's theme focuses on the rights of children. This right needs to be protected, respected, and fulfilled even during the times of crisis. Overindulgence and lack of discipline are concerns echoed by many. They warn that this can lead to decreased self-esteem and poor decision-making skills.
We refuse to do the right thing because we don't want the child to be angry. If you don't want the child to cry now, be prepared to cry in future. But whether we like it or not, we'll get back what to sow in them. We have really missed it. It's not the timing. We say the parent doesn't have time, they after money. No, it's not the timing. The little time you have, you can still train your child very well in a way that God will be happy with you.
In this century, you see, we are trying to adapt to foreign culture, abandoning our own culture. Like you asked me, in our culture, Nigerian African local culture, there are some certain things we don't see as children's rights. And in this century, we have started adopting to that everything is child's right. Meanwhile, that child is not even a human being that knows between right and wrong. If your child wants to take vanilla, you simply buy vanilla, for example. If your child wants to drink Coke every day, Coke is sweet. If you want to drink Coke every day, even when you know that Coke, that consumption of Coke every day will result to the diabetes, does that mean you keep buying? No. So in that case, it's not his right to decide what to be taken. It's you as the parent to decide. It's not their right to tell you how to give it to them and when to give it to them, because you are more sensible than them. And you know what is right and wrong compared to them. They are just kids.
Although some say times have changed, unlike in the past where parents focus on just discipline, present-day parenting have a balanced approach to childhood development.
I grew up in an environment where this typical, once your dad comes to the parlor, everyone is silent, everyone flees. That aspect of fatherly fatherly bond and support wasn't really so much there. He was there, he provides and all that, but that angle of family and fatherly bond is not there. And it may look it may look it may look like not much of a big deal, but it is a big deal because I had to struggle to gain my confidence as an adult. When children are given that fatherly support, that fatherly bond, it makes them very confident. That is one of the angle where our parents, the generation before our generation, failed us, and we as parents nowadays, those are some of the areas we are trying to correct. Our generation is doing better. In the previous generation tried in the area of discipline. I know that is their own strength, but too much of that discipline will be counterproductive.
Times have changed, but we must also be able to address certain issues that have to do with the changing of times. So if you are not there for your child, the person who is taking care of your child, will be it your niece or your relation or a house girl or somebody, whoever I brought, you must be able to ascertain the integrity of that person, because it's your child that you are handing over to that person to bring up.
Experts advise parents and intending couples to make proper planning before childbearing, as parenting is not an easy task.
You see, this marriage of 18 is beyond what we are saying. You have to be matured very well. Mature physically, mature spiritually. Because a lot of things is there in marriage. And bringing up these children is not just a simple thing. It's a very big task that God have handed over to us. I would like to say, if you are not prepared for marriage, even though you try entering it, don't bring up children that you're not ready to train.
The general consensus is that effective parenting is gradually declining in the society because parents are adopting the Western style of parenting and abandoning the African values. Experts say parenting is such a tough job that if one is not ready, then don't go close. Stella Carlo reporting for True Vision Online Television.
Now away from Abuja, let's head to Ondo State, where a federal high court sitting in Akure, the state capital, has reserved judgment in a suit challenging the qualification of the deputy governor of Ondo State, Olaide Adelami, the running mate to Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa in the November 16 governorship election. On resumption of the matter in court, 6 senior advocates of Nigeria were in court to prosecute and defend the case. Honorable Abola Ajayi, the People's Democratic Party candidate, and the party have filed a suit at the Federal High Court to challenge the qualification of Adelami as a running mate to the governor-elect, Lucky Ayedatiwa. Now to security matters. The Defense Headquarters has confirmed that Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists ambushed troops conducting stabilization operations in Gubbio local government area of Borno State, leading to a heavy gunfight. In the aftermath of the attack, 5 soldiers were killed, 10 were wounded and 4 others were reported missing. However, over 30 terrorists were neutralized, with several others escaping with bullet wounds.
After several months of relative peace in Borno State, Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists have attacked Gubbio local government area of Borno State. Confirming the incident, Nigeria's Defense Headquarters said the terrorists targeted troops engaged in stabilization operation in Gubbio local government area, killed 5 soldiers, 10 wounded, and 4 declared missing during the assault. The troops eliminated several terrorists and recovered weapons. The insider source said that the insurgents launched multiple assaults in attempt to overrun a special military force stationed in the Kareto community of Gubbio local government. The special forces had recently arrived in Kareto to facilitate the return of displaced villagers when the insurgents launched their attack. These incidents are part of the resurgence of violence in the Lake Chad region, where insurgents have launched frequent assaults despite recent successful operation by the multinational Joint Task Force. While Boko Haram has continued wreaking havoc in Nigeria's northeastern region, a new terror group, Lakawara, is also unleashing terror in the northwestern parts of the country. Meanwhile, the Borno state government has expressed its condolence to the military following the loss of soldiers during the Boko Haram attack in Kareto, Gubbio local government. Stella Carlo reporting for True Vision Online Television.
And now on to the foreign scene. The United States Embassy in Kyiv issued an urgent warning on Wednesday morning that Russia might launch a significant air attack, closing the embassy and telling employees to shelter in place. Air raid alerts are a daily fact of life in Ukraine, and the capital often comes under drone and missile attacks, but the embassy rarely issues such a specific alert. The warning came one day after Ukraine's military used American-made ballistic missiles to strike into Russia, for the first time after receiving long-sought authorization from President Biden to do so.
The world's biggest economies have converged to discuss critical global issues as it affects peace, economic stability, and climate change. Brazilian President Lula da Silva on Tuesday urged leaders of the group of 20 major economies to accelerate their national climate targets, calling on them to reach net zero climate emissions 5 to 10 years ahead of schedule. Lula suggested that countries bring forward their targets to reach climate neutrality by 2040 or 2045 instead of 2050 as Brazil and many others have pledged. World leaders are trying to shore up a global response to climate change before Donald Trump retakes the US presidency in January, when he plans to roll back US policy on global warming and reportedly exit the landmark Paris Agreement. Leaders agreed the world needs to reach a deal by the end of United Nations COP29 Climate Change Summit in Azerbaijan on a new financial goal for how much money rich nations must provide to poorer developing nations. Earlier, the G20 leaders called for a comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. They welcomed all relevant and constructive initiatives that support a comprehensive, just and durable peace in Ukraine. They called for a US proposed permanent ceasefire in Gaza and return of all hostages, as well as Lebanon ceasefire that enables citizens to return safely to their homes on both sides of the Blue Line. Such a peace should be in line with UN principles and promote peaceful, friendly and good relations between neighboring countries. As host of this year's G20 meetings, Brazil expanded the group's focus on extreme poverty and hunger ravaging developing countries. He launched a global alliance to combat poverty and hunger, with backing from more than 80 countries, along with multilateral banks and major philanthropists. Stella Carlo reporting for True Vision Online Television.
Now on entertainment, Miss Universe Nigeria Chidimma has announced her decision to take a break from beauty pageants following her historic performance at the 2024 Miss Universe competition. Speaking after her return to Nigeria in an exclusive interview, Adeshina expressed pride in her accomplishment, which she said exceeded her expectations. Adeshina emerged as the first runner-up in the global pageant held in November in Mexico, marking a new milestone for Nigeria on the international stage. Now that's the size of the bulletin this evening. Before we call it a wrap, a look at the major headlines. We told you that Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs has said that the federal government is committed to creating an environment where every child will have access to education. We also told you a federal high court sitting in Akure has reserved judgment in a suit challenging the qualification of the Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Olaide Adelami. Finally, we told you that the United States Embassy in Kyiv issued an urgent warning on Wednesday morning that Russia might launch a significant air attack, closing the embassy and telling employees to shelter in place. Remember, you can connect to us via our social media platform displayed on the screen. Thanks for investing your time with us. From the production team here in Abuja, we say goodbye. I am Marvelous Oberman.